What's going on everyone, Alex here. So today we'll be looking at the very popular MX Keys Mini from Logitech. So I've been interested in the MX Keys for a number of years and I've used the MX Master 3 for about 2.5 years now at this stage. So I finally decided to bite the bullet and complete the set. So the main reason why I purchased the MX Keys is because I love the Apple Magic Keyboard. It's just been my favorite keyboard so far that I've used for the overall typing experience. But it does have one major issue, and that is you can only connect to one device. It's a bit of a process to disconnect it and reconnect it to multiple devices, and in my case I use my work laptop and my personal laptop pretty regularly, so I want to be able to switch between them nice and easily. So if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that I have the classic Keychron K2 wireless mechanical keyboard, and now this one does actually connect up to 3 devices, so you might ask why I'm not using that one, but my preference has just gone away from mechanical keyboards. I've used it for the past 2 years and I have really liked it, but I just find that I work better on a low profile, smaller keyboard. It's just easier for me to type on, so that's why I'm going for this Logitech keyboard instead. I probably will go back to a mechanical keyboard eventually. I might even build one myself, but for the moment I'm sticking with the low profile keyboard style. So that's where the MX Keys come in. It has all the features that I want and it's as close to the Apple Magic Keyboard as possible. Also, I decided to go for the MX Keys Mini just because my last few keyboards haven't had the number pad and I haven't missed it, so I decided to stick with the smaller size and it takes up less space on your desk. So the MX Mini comes in 2 options. You have the MX Mini for Mac, which comes in this pale grey colour, or you have the MX Mini regular one, which works for both Windows and Mac, and this comes in pale grey, the graphite colour that I have here, or a pink colour. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that they do a Mac only version and I work off 2 Macs, but I think I do prefer this darker graphite colour as it matches my mouse. But as I said, it works for both Windows and Mac perfectly, and I have future-proofed myself in case I do ever need to use a Windows computer again. There are a few subtle differences between the two that I'll go over in a bit. So looking at the unboxing experience, it's actually really good. The keyboard comes wrapped in this nice tissue, and then the only other thing in the box is a little box that has the charging cable in it. And just like the MX Master 3, it's charged via USB-C, which is great. Looking at the design, it's a pretty nice looking keyboard. I do think I prefer the Magic Keyboard over it, but it is a close second. The graphite colorway is very similar to Apple's Space Gray colorway, and as I said earlier, it matches my MX Master 3. So my first impression of the keyboard was it's extremely solid. It weighs a whopping 500 grams, which is more than double my Magic Keyboard that weighs only 240 grams. So if you're someone who carries your keyboard around in your backpack, I'm not sure if people do that, but maybe they do, you might want to go for the Magic Keyboard as it weighs half the weight of the MX Keys. While I do prefer more minimal branding on a keyboard, the small Logi logo at the top of the keyboard isn't too bad. So the MX Keys is slightly more raised than the Magic Keyboard, which might help a little bit when typing. I didn't really think the Magic Keyboard was too low, so it'll be interesting to see if I notice a difference. You'll notice that the keys have a slight round indentation in them, and I presume this is to help with the typing experience, and so far I have found it to be a really nice experience. So yeah, overall the design is solid and it's a very well built keyboard. So as I mentioned, I went for the Windows and Mac version, and all that means is some of the keys have 2 options on them and some of them are slightly different to the Mac keyboard. You can see on the bottom row here that there are a few differences. The control and function buttons are flipped, and then the option and command button doubles up as the start and alt buttons if you're using Windows. So not too big a difference and something you can easily get used to. The function row is pretty interesting. You have the escape key and then you have these 3 buttons that are used to connect to your different devices. So yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but this is how you connect to multiple devices. You just simply tap the button and it'll switch to the new device. It's very easy and it's super quick. Then you have the keyboard brightness buttons to turn up and down the backlight on the keyboard. This is a really cool feature and will help if you're typing in darker scenarios. It has this cool wake up feature where if you hover your hand over the keyboard, it will light up, and then if you take your hands away after a few seconds, it'll turn off so as to not waste any battery. Obviously, if you leave this feature on, it'll use up your battery a lot quicker, so most of the time I have the backlight off, and then if it does get dark in here, I'll turn it on for a few minutes. And this is also a feature that isn't on the Magic Keyboard from Apple. Apparently it'll have 10 days of use with the lights on and up to 5 months with the lights off, which is incredible. Then you have a dictation, emoji and screenshot button, which are all pretty standard. This button is pretty cool. Apparently it allows you to mute or unmute your mic if you're on a video call. I don't trust it. I still use the actual button on the Zoom app. But yeah, it would be cool if you could just tap this button to unmute yourself. I just don't trust it because when you do press it, it doesn't actually click mute on the screen in Zoom. It just says it as if it's a function for the keyboard. So yeah, I don't really trust it, but it would be cool if I was to use it. Okay, so as you can see here, I am in a Zoom meeting and I'm on mute. Then when I click this, obviously I go on to unmute and you can see the little sound wave of my voice talking. However, if I press the mute button on the keyboard, you'll see in the top right corner I'm muted, and also the sound wave is gone from the mute section. However, there's no red line through it, and that just makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be in a meeting thinking I'm muted and not actually muted. Even if it does work, just for me, I'm going to always click this and know that I'm actually muted. But again, it's up to you whether you use it or not. Then you have the play pause button, and annoyingly there isn't any back and forth button, which is something that I do use pretty regularly, but it's not really a deal breaker. And then we have the mute, the volume up, the volume down, and lastly you have the delete button, which doubles up as a screen lock. I press FN and the delete and it'll lock your Mac, so you have to put in your code again. Another great feature of this keyboard is it's fully customizable. Well, not fully customizable, it's kind of customizable, just like the MX Master 3. And to do this, you use the Logi Options app. On this app, you can see that I can change the function row to do specific tasks, like open up a specific app, or like I mentioned earlier, there's no back and forth keys, so I can add them in on the function row with this app. You can see here I use the emoji button to go back a track and the screenshot button to go forward a track, as I use them more often. Typing on this keyboard is really nice. Again, I would have to say I slightly prefer the Magic Keyboard, but it is a close second. Over time I have just got a little tired of the mechanical keyboard. It put a bit of a strain on my wrists, even though I did have a wrist rest. There's a good bit of key travel on this keyboard, probably more than the Magic Keyboard, and the little circular indentations make it a really nice typing experience. Here's a little sound test comparison between the MX keys and the Magic Keyboard for what it's worth. Overall, I'm really happy with this purchase. It's sleek and minimal, and it has all the features that I want, like being able to switch between my laptops really quickly. For €109, I think it's pretty good value given the build quality, and if it's anything like the MX Master 3, which I've had for 2 years now, I'll have it for a good few years as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.